I thought I would do this video on procrastinating, not only to help myself, but I thought some of it might be useful. I start things or I know I have to get things done. And then
2,000 years later.
so if that's you, if you resonate with that, it is an issue from time to time, then stay tuned for the rest of this video. Shona Hutchings here, and in today's video I wanted to ask the question, could creativity reduce procrastination? And also talk about what types of procrastination there are and share some tools that I use that might be helpful for you. I've kind of narrowed it down to 5 different types of procrastinating, but there are, I'm sure, many others. The ones I want to talk about today are when that kind of perfectionist trait where you just are afraid of it not looking great or wanting it to be a particular way. Sometimes it can really push over into OCD. And I think all of us at some point kind of have experienced this, even if it's just a little bit. Not doing something because we want it to be perfect. Another type of procrastination I've noticed in myself and among my loved ones is that rebellious procrastination. It's like if somebody's asked us to complete a project or a job, we just don't want to do it because somebody else has asked us to do it. For me, I remember that so clearly from when I was younger, and teachers or parents, I guess it's because I felt I didn't have a lot of power most of the time growing up, and so one of the ways that I felt I had some power was to not do what I was being asked to do. It didn't serve me very well. I spent a lot of time outside of the classroom rather than in it. However, it does carry over, it does show up sometimes as an adult. Mostly it's just a power struggle that I'm in with myself. And it really still doesn't serve me. The third type of procrastination is when we're just on emotional overload, when our nervous systems are kind of just at the end of their tether and we're dealing with either grief or overwhelm, possibly feeling depressed, and everything just feels hard. And so we put off doing what we know we need to do or what we want to do because it just feels too hard and it's just another thing, and emotionally we can't really cope with it because we haven't processed the emotions that are up in our face at the moment. The fourth kind of procrastination is where we can't make a decision and act on the decision that we are trying to make. This is kind of one that I am familiar with. Just it's a right or wrong. It's like, if I make this decision, then what if I've made the wrong decision? And so rather than making the wrong decision, I procrastinate and don't make any decision at all. And then the fifth type of procrastinating is when I don't know how to do a particular task, or I don't have the skills to do the task. And sometimes I can feel ashamed and don't want to ask for help. So I procrastinate. there was a time when I was studying for certification, and I know that my brain works differently. I'm a kinesthetic learner and processor, and so I often need to be moving some part of my body in order to take in information or even deliver information through speaking. And so I put off doing the homework modules. I put off. I'd done all the practical work, and I'd done all the hours that were necessary, the training hours, seeing clients, and I'd done all of those, but I just couldn't knuckle down. I'd done a few of the homework assignments, but I just couldn't knuckle down and do the rest. And in the end, one of the facilitators said to me, if you don't complete this by January of next year, and this was in December, you're going to have to start the course all over again and pay for it all again. So that really lit a fire under me to get out of the procrastination. And so I set up a couple of different monitors, one with the homework on it, one with the referencing the research that I was doing, and one with a email, because I loaded a text to talk, a talk to text app onto my phone, and I was sending myself emails. So I was talking into the app, sending myself emails of what I was saying to do with the research, and then cutting and editing that into the paper the homework that I had to hand in. And that's how I did the other, I don't know, something like 25 assignments out of the 30 that I hadn't handed in yet. So there are creative ways of getting around procrastinating. However, sometimes if we're pushed into that very tight time limit, like I was, where we have to come up with ideas, we do it. But the rest of the time, we can still be lost in this trap of procrastination for whatever reason. So some of the the tools that I wanted to share that might be helpful for you as well, if I go back to the perfectionist trait, one of the things that I find really useful is moving my body, because perfectionism and that sort of OCD feeling of it's just got to be a certain way is quite restricting. My body kind of locks in and gets tight and rigid, and so I find moving my body, dancing, particularly being silly while I'm dancing for some reason, just doing really funny things, really shifts that for me. Breath work is another tool that I use, and scribbling or doodling, like the doodle that I'm doing, the Zen doodle that I'm doing here with the watercolours, and even making a messy piece of art really goes a long way to interrupting that perfectionist trait. With the rebel, when I'm stuck in a rebellious procrastination, I make this decision when I notice, because I don't always notice that that's what's happening, but when I notice, I set a timer and I do something that I really want to do, and it's usually creative. So sitting down, this Zen doodle took me probably half an hour from beginning to end. So sitting down and doing something like that, scribbling even, can just take that rebelliousness and help me to feel like I've given myself some time to actually do what I want to do. And then I set the timer again and I do the project or the task or the work that I know I need to do for another 20 minutes to half an hour. And just going backwards and forwards between the two, it's kind of like a reward, a reward and work solution. The other thing I like to do with when I'm in a rebellious procrastination is I do this yes-no dialogue with myself. And I couple that sometimes, I don't know if you've heard of EFT tapping, where you tap with your fingertips on certain points on the head and on the body. Anyway, you can look it up if you're interested. So I do sometimes do the EFT tapping with the yes and no dialogue. So I'll say, yeah, sure, I'm happy to do this project or this task. No, I'm not happy to do this. I don't want to do it. And I go back again to the yes. Yeah, I can get that done. Yep, not a problem. Easy task. No, this is too difficult. I don't want to do it. I want to do what I want to do. So just going backwards and forwards with that dialogue and tapping at the same time frees me up. It somehow takes me out of that fight state, which is what rebellion really is. It's wanting to fight with somebody out of a sense of powerlessness. And it just, because I usually do something creative, like doodling, then I get absorbed in that. I get a lot of joy from that. And it's just so much easier than when I set the timer for doing the task. I'm in this momentum, it's built up from doing the creativity. My whole mood has changed, the rebelliousness has dropped away, and I just find it so much easier then to apply myself to the task at hand. The third type of procrastination, emotional overload, a little bit more tricky for me. I've experienced a lot of grief in the last year, and sometimes I've just needed to rest, taking a nap, exercising, preferably in nature. Again, the EFT tapping or some other modality. Sometimes I like to do a little bit of qigong outside in the garden. Somatic breath work. I did see a counsellor for a period of time as well last year. That was really helpful. And also doing some creativity, not with any intention or agenda or pressure of any kind. Again, doodling is perfect for that. It helps to process emotions, and going for a swim, having a bath, lying on the earth, all of those things, getting body work. So any way that we can help our system to process the emotions, and creativity is definitely a huge help in doing that. And then once the emotions have been processed, it frees up all that energy that we've been holding on to, that's been kind of just stored in the body and in our minds, often causing anxiety or like a kind of fugue state, that shifts. And I find it shifts particularly when I'm doing something that's bringing me some pleasure or joy. And that's definitely what creativity does for me. When I'm in the state of not being able to make a decision and act on that decision, if I'm feeling like I'm afraid of getting it wrong, what if I do this and it's the wrong decision? And so as I've gotten older, I don't know if it's to do with age, or I'm not sure if it's experience, or if younger people than me are also coming to the same conclusions. But one of the ways that I interrupt this type of procrastination is I'll do both. So rather than it having to be this way or that way, I'm like, what if I just try both of these things, or three if I've got a few choices? What about if I just make a PowerPoint presentation? What about if I just, shift it and do the art in a different way? What if I do both of these things and write this up about it? What if I add some writing? What if I, so it's like just putting in some flexibility in there so that it's not so right or wrong, black or white, sort of interrupts the fear factor again. And I also find, strangely, I find that if I start singing or humming about it or yelling, if I'm angry, if I do those things, it might sound funny or silly, it lightens my approach to it. Because when we're locked in that not being able to make a decision because we're afraid of being wrong, lightening up about it and feeling looser and giving ourselves permission to play with all of it rather than locking ourselves down is another beautiful way to interrupt this type of procrastination. And number 5, the not knowing how to do a particular task or don't have the skills kind of procrastination. This happened recently to somebody I know, and they put off doing the work they needed to get a report in. They put off doing it because they didn't know how to do a particular setup. And finally they just swallowed their pride or shame, whatever was operating for them, I guess, and contacted somebody who did have the skills and could mentor or guide them through setting up what they needed to set up in order to get this particular thing done. So that works. Also, using templates or using an app that helps with a particular type of, layout. Sometimes when I'm creating art and I don't know how to do a particular thing, or I don't have the skills to do it, I'll do a internet search, and I'll watch how-to videos, or I'll have a look at other people's work and see what are the various ways that they're approaching it, and is it possible for me to approach it that way as well, and can I take a class to develop the skills that I don't have. So quite a few different options there as far as how to interrupt that type of procrastination. And lastly, I just wanted to say that there are different ways of learning and processing for every person. Some of us are visual learners, some of us are audio learners, and some of us are kinesthetic learners. So with kinesthetic learners, which is what I am, we need to be moving a part of our body in order for us to be able to process information. And so sometimes I procrastinate because a particular task or project that I'm working on doesn't cater for me to be able to move around while I'm doing it. I have to sit still or I have to stand still. And so somehow that really impinges on my creative capacities. And once you know this about yourself, once you know, am I a visual learner? Do I process better when I see something in the written word or see something on the computer or on the blackboard or the whiteboard? Is that your dominant way of processing? And if it is, then finding tasks or finding solutions to the tasks that involve that kind of thing is going to help eliminate some procrastination. If you're an audio learner and processor who takes things in through hearing, through webinars, through people talking, through hearing music and those kinds of ways, then do more of that when you're actually approaching your project or your task. And again, if you're a kinesthetic learner like me, so important to apply the movement combined with visual and audio input or output in order for our brains to be able to process and complete a task, even one as simple as talking in front of a camera or giving a talk, working on a laptop, like I mentioned before, doing assignments. And also if you need to do an exam of any kind, or if you're in an exhibition with your artwork that's requiring a certain type of criteria, speak to a mentor, speak to the person in charge, let them know that you're a particular type of learner and processor, and find things that are going to be able to support you in carrying out and finishing the exam or the exhibition or whatever task or project it is that is more suited to your style of processing. I hope that that has been helpful and that there's been some tools there that may interrupt your procrastinating and help you to finish the things that you want to finish or that you need to finish. And I will leave you with the doodling. It was lovely how it all came together in the end. I wasn't expecting, I thought it was just going to be an abstract doodaloo, and it is abstract in a way, but it was interesting how a few little faces felt like a sort of a family, some adults and some children and a little angel in the background, all kind of coming together. Felt like a very supportive Zen doodle when it was completed. Enjoy doodling as part of your creativity, and I really encourage you to try any form of creativity, or if you already do have a creative practice, to go to it when you are in moments of procrastination and allow it to help give you some momentum, to shift you back into a space of joy and creativity so that you can apply yourself to the tasks that require your attention. I will see you on the next video, and please, if you liked this video, if you enjoyed it and got something from it, I would love for you to like it, to share it with somebody, to subscribe. It does help my channel to grow, and I appreciate your support very much. Thanks again for being here, and ciao for now.